Thank you very much. And Representative Wilson, if you will introduce yourself and your guest can introduce himself and then you can proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Representative Nick Wilson from the 82nd District.
My name is Ronnie Bowling. I'm the Commonwealth's attorney for the 34th Judicial Circuit.
Today I'm presenting Kimber's Law, House Bill 249, and that would add intentional murder of a child to the list of aggravating circumstances. I plan to explain in detail what that entails. But before I start, I want everyone to try to keep in mind that this is not necessarily a bill just about the death penalty. It's not a bill that signifies approval or disapproval of the death penalty. It is more nuanced than that. So I'd ask that you just keep that in mind as I go through with my presentation. So first, I would just like to look at what penalties apply to what crimes, and I'm sure we're all pretty familiar with this, but here's the basic breakdown. Class D felony, 1 to 5, C felony, 5 to 10 years, B, 10 to 20. The Class A felony is 20 to 50 years or life with the possibility of parole after 20 years. The focus today is on that Class A felony. Currently under Kentucky law, if someone intentionally murders a child, the penalty is 20 to 50 years or life with the possibility of parole after 20 years. When it's a capital offense, and this is from statute, which means an aggravating circumstance is present, then there are more sentencing options, and that's what opens up the door to the penalty options of we still have the 20 to 50 years and life with parole after 20 years as options, but then you get life with the possibility of parole after 25 years, and then life without parole, and then, of course, the death penalty. So by statute, there are 8 aggravating circumstances that open up that higher penalty range. I did shorthand it just a little bit to make it kind of faster to look through. But the offense of murder or kidnapping was committed by a person with a prior record of conviction. So that's someone with a prior murder conviction. They've had a murder conviction, they get out of prison, they murder someone again. That's an aggravating circumstance. The offense of murder or kidnapping was committed while the offender was engaged in commission of arson. So that's a murder that happens during the commission of a violent crime. A lot of times it's a robbery, or say a gas station burglary or something of that nature that results in a death. That's an aggravating circumstance. We have some that aren't as common, like number 3 is using weapons of mass destruction. If that were to happen, that would be death penalty eligible. If someone hired a hitman, that would be death penalty eligible. Or they would be a murder of a prison employee by a prisoner is an aggravating circumstance. This is one you may see in real life. A murder of more than one person at one time is an aggravating circumstance.
Motion by Representative Blanton and a second by Representative Scott Sharp.
If I may add just a little bit here at the end, because we do have the death penalty here in Kentucky, and I thought it would be prudent to look at the statistics and see how it really applies in practical life. And what I found was that only one time under the current version of the statute, which came effective in 2012, has the death penalty been sentenced. That's not executions. As far as I can tell, there's only been 3 executions since 1960. The most recent in 2008 was a man who, sadly, during his guilty plea asked, "Will you please execute me as quickly as possible?" So I understand there is a debate on whether the death penalty should be abolished or not. That's not what this bill is. This bill is just adding the murder of a child to that list of aggravating circumstances that will allow us to get life without parole or life with parole after 25 years as well. And Mr. Chairman, I would ask, since I do have a guest, if he could just briefly explain one case we encountered.
Yes, that's fine.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for members of the committee. Longtime listener, first-time speaker, so I'll try my best not to talk over myself. But I am a trial lawyer by trade. and I do appreciate your time. I'll try to keep it brief. This case is called Kimber's Law for a reason, and this is because it's a case that Mr. Wilson and I actually prosecuted together when he was serving as Assistant Commonwealth Attorney in our jurisdiction. On August 21st, 2019, that's a date that's burned into my soul, I saw things that you should never have to see, and I pray that you don't. Kimber Collins was a 3-year-old little girl who was beaten to death over the course of 3 hours by her mother's boyfriend. When paramedics arrived, she had a Glasgow coma score of 3. I don't know if any of you are medical professionals, but that is the worst it gets. She lived on a ventilator for 3 days until her mother had to make the decision to pull the plug. But when she arrived at the hospital under our laws in Kentucky, she was legally dead. She did not, I don't know murder victims that deserve to die, but she didn't deserve that, and she didn't deserve the way she lived. And I had to prosecute this individual, Mr. Michael Cody Huff, under our regular statutory framework of Class A felonies. So no matter what I did, no matter what proof I put on, I cannot guarantee to Kimber's mother that he will not leave a penitentiary one day, and I think that's sad injustice. And just one brief comment on this. If you look at our aggravating factors that Mr. Wilson broke down for you, if you'd care to go back to the slide, right here's fine. We're failing Kentucky's victims right now. There's only one group of persons. All of these aggravating factors have to do with what a defendant was doing when he committed the crime. And we consider these the worst of the worst criminal offenses you can commit in Kentucky. The only group of people who are protected because of who they are us. And look at PowerPoint number 7. The victim was a public official. If somebody kills me in the parking lot, you can seek the death penalty on that person, or life without parole, or life extended period. If someone commits violence and results in your death, you're protected under the law. Children aren't. The people that still believe in capital punishment, and capital punishment doesn't necessarily represent the death penalty or life without parole, the states that do this have this as an aggravating circumstance across the United States of America. We're behind on this. So I appreciate your time and consideration on this bill. This is obviously something that's very near and dear to my heart, and I'll point one final detail out. Most prosecutors never have to deal with the intentional murder of an infant. I did, and it happened again 2 weeks ago in Whitley County. So I'm once again prosecuting someone who killed a beautiful 2-year-old little girl in my jurisdiction. And we're just asking for your help to make this fight one that we take most serious in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there any discussion among the committee? If not, I'll entertain a motion. Oh, there is? Okay. Well, thank you so much. So we have a motion and a second. Secretary, please call the roll.
Representative Banta,
Yes.
Representative Blanton,
Aye.
Representative Bratcher,
Yes.
Representative Bray,
Yes.
Representative Burke,
May I explain my vote?
Yes, we may.
I'll be a yes vote today, although I do want to say on the record that I'm completely against the death penalty.
Representative Decker,
Yes.
Representative Dietz,
I'd like to explain my vote.
Yes, you may.
I'm a yes for today, and I would ditto the comments of my colleague. I am against the death penalty, but I'm a yes for today.
Representative Doan,
Explain my vote.
Yes, you may.
I'm a pass for the same reasons as stated before. Thank you.
Representative Flannery,
I'd like to explain my yes vote.
Yes, you may.
You know, the death penalty is something that I personally struggle with, but I definitely think that if it is going to be utilized, and I think it should be, and that's kind of where I'm at personally on it, it definitely should be for cases like this. And I think it's also important to say, as you all mentioned, this is not necessarily about the death penalty. We also have to deal with parole issues on this. So I definitely think even if you have a moral opposition to the death penalty, it's absolutely very fitting that a person that commits such a heinous act against a child would not receive parole. Otherwise, without this bill, my understanding of the law is that they could be eligible for that. So I would just encourage my colleagues, try to get past, maybe your personal viewpoints on the death penalty and consider the parole issue here that we're dealing with when you decide to cast your vote either in committee or on the floor.
Yes, he was a yes.
Representative Herron,
Pass.
Representative Cole Carney,
Briefly explained.
Yes, you may.
I'm a yes for today. I, like many of my colleagues, oppose the death penalty. But I understand in situations where it's an option and there's an existing list, why this would need to be added as an aggravating factor.
Representative Lewis,
Always good seeing you, Ronnie. I'm a yes.
Representative Maddox,
Yes.
Representative Mosier,
Briefly explain my
Yes,
vote.
you may.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for this bill. I was able to have a good conversation with the bill sponsor, so thank you for that. I too am against the death penalty, but I do feel like we should put some protections in place for the most vulnerable of our population. And it really is more specific to parole eligibility and ensuring that individuals who perpetrate this crime on children are held responsible. So I'm a yes.
Representative Nemus.
Yes.
Representative Petrie, Representative Rawlings,
Yes.
Representative Sharp,
Briefly explain my yes vote.
Yes, you may.
I've worked far too many crimes and where children were killed, so I am a definite yes. Thank you.
Representative Wilson,
Yes.
Chairman Elliott,
Aye. So with 18 yes votes, no votes, and 2 pass votes, House Bill 249 is reported with favorable expression, and same should pass on the House floor. Congratulations, Representative Wilson. And our committee will stand adjourned.